Aloha! Welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway podcast. I'm your host, Hannah.
And I'm Megan, and we want to welcome all of you crafty mavens that are joining us today.
Today is episode number 7. Can you believe that, Megan?
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. I can't even. Has it, have we done one every week since the beginning of the year?
Yep,
So it's
we've done one
7 weeks.
every week. hmm Yep, this past week, the one that just posted, is just me. I tried to
That's
get
right.
Kaden on to talk about creating digital stuff.
Right.
It didn't
Yes.
work. She chickened out. She said she would do it, and then she chickened out. So I got to keep asking.
Oh,
Like, it would be really fun to have her because she does a whole different type of digital art stuff. But
yeah, that would be fun. Well, to hear it from like a teenager's aspect.
well, and that's what I thought. I thought that would be kind of cool, to hear it from a different perspective.
Yeah, yeah,
And someone who doesn't scrap but is very arty. So I thought that would be kind of like a a different perspective that sometimes will give us inspiration. That's the thing I love about the Crafty Maven is that we have like different ways of getting inspiration just because of our different backgrounds and that it was a whole bunch of different people from different places and different scrapping styles and all that and who do different, well, I guess that's style, but different types of projects and stuff too. So
right. Yeah. There's diversity in our scrapbooking
yeah. Well, and
projects.
that's like super cool, even just within our industry. And recently I know because I've been following a whole bunch of different types of stuff, I've been getting the algorithm's been giving me different kinds of stuff. And it's really cool seeing like how people are using journals, like junk journals, to do like scrapbooky mixed media stuff. It's really fun. I really
Right.
hope that we can tap into that kind of group too, because it even though that's not exactly how I scrap and do art journaling, I think that it would be fun to kind of tap into that just to do something different and to open up. I think it opens up my brain when I'm
Mhm.
doing layouts too. So it like transfers to thinking how I
Right.
lay out a little bit different.
Right.
That
Yep.
is not what we're talking about today. We're talking about scrapping vacations.
Yay.
Yay, because who doesn't like to go on vacation?
Exactly, right? Well, and you just got back from kind of like a mini
Mini vacation.
vacation.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
me and
that'll be
my
nice.
husband and two other couples. It was just an adult vacation. So, that was really, we were only gone for a few days, but it was just kind of nice to get away. And I didn't realize how much I needed to like get away and have just like a weekend where, for the most part, I didn't think about scrapbooking because I've been doing so much.
Right.
It was just kind of nice to get away, even though it was not planned very well as far as like I could have planned the store soft launch differently, but honestly,
That's okay.
that's okay.
Yeah,
So,
it
you
worked out.
learn, I think I said this on the last one. T Pro tip, just don't plan a vacation, that weekend if you at all want things to run more smoothly.
Right.
Because when you get an order and they're like, hey, I couldn't actually order it. And then you realize when you go back in, it's on test mode still.
Oh no.
Well, that would be why. That would
Oh no.
have to take it out of test mode because
Yeah.
they have you put it in test mode so you can test it out. And
Well, and I couldn't even get into it, so I couldn't do anything while you were gone.
yeah.
So that was kind of
Yeah,
frustrating.
I'm still working on it took over our whole so anybody who's listening who's been to our website, it's just the store right now. I still have to work on figuring out how to just have it be one portion. I probably have to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing so I can figure out. I just haven't reached out because my main thing was like getting it so people could actually order things.
Yeah.
appropriately and actually get their downloads because that was another issue is the download app that you I used wasn't working right and so I had to switch.
Yeah.
That was, well, I spent all day the other day. It's all fixed now.
Yay, that's good.
Well, and like anytime you have a store launch, there's always stuff. And so,
Hmm.
whoever bought stuff was like super like, oh, we get it, we get it. It's, which is why, honestly, this is why we do a soft launch, right? So that
Right.
when we have our grand opening in March, everything will be
It'll
run
go smoothly.
away. It'll be easy, hopefully. And I also made it so that there's international stuff. So hopefully that isn't too screwy, but I'm
Yeah.
really relying on Shopify knowing what they're doing. Well, and I figure most people who are buying internationally aren't, they're getting more of the digital elements or like the kits. We'll have to work through that because I know with customs, some countries only allow certain things in. Like Canada's kind of picky, but we'll figure that out when we get there. So anyway, once again,
Okay.
what we're talking about vacation. So yeah, and then you went on a big vacation
I
in
did in
July.
July last year. Yes. And that was awesome. It was an out of country experience too, which my partner Ashley and I, like, neither one of us have been out of the country ever before. So that was kind of fun to experience it together. And and kind of, yeah, just enjoy like a week away. Well, it wasn't even a full week. It was like 5 nights,
Okay.
6 days. So, but that's like a long trip, I feel like.
What was the most shocking thing about being not being in the United States that you experienced?
Um, well, I think it was just, and it has nothing to do with like the United States though. I think it was the weather was so
Okay.
shocking. But just because I'm from, Idaho, where it's like even during the summer it gets to like 100 and the humidity level is like super low. But like the humidity level while we were there, it was like 95%. Like you would walk outside of your hotel room and be sweating like even inside the building still, because they don't really have, like, they have air conditioning in the rooms, but
But
it's
it's not.
like outside in like the hallways and stuff, it's like a swamp cooler kind of thing.
Yeah,
It was really
that's how it in
interesting.
Hawaii is a lot like that too. They don't use a lot of air conditioning. So
Yeah.
it's just free
So
roam.
that was kind of crazy because I wasn't expecting that, because everywhere you go in the United States, it's like air conditioned, you know?
Yeah. There are certain areas that I've lived that have less, like where I grew up in upstate New York, and it gets pretty humid there too with all the
Yeah.
trees in the summer. A lot of the older houses didn't have air conditioning. It was like as people put air conditioning units, but nothing like in Texas where you could just get central air. And like even at my house here, I have central air. But not a
Mhm.
lot of people around here don't have air conditioning because in the summer, like you have 2 days where it gets to like maybe 100
Yeah.
summer and it's dry.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
like you really don't need that much. At night it gets like way cool.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can imagine that was yeah.
Well, you went to Mexico too, didn't you, last year?
Yeah, in December. So not this past.
Oh, so that was 2023 you went. That's
Yeah.
right. I
Hmm.
was thinking it
Yeah,
was
we went
last
to
year.
Mexico City, and that was the first time I've been out of the United States. And let me tell you, that was because we were in Mexico City, because it's not like Cancun or, like Puerto
Right.
Vallarta or something like that, where it's very touristy. I mean, it's definitely touristy in certain areas of Mexico City. Um, but it's not the same. And yeah, I had to go to the bathroom in a porn shop, basically, like a sex shop. So my
That's so
husband
funny.
and our friend, his cousin was walking us around or walking around with us and his uncle, and so she went with us to help show us where the bathroom was because there's just not. bathrooms are a lot different and you have to pay to get in. So you pay like 5 pesos or like,
Wow.
and I think they're pesos. Anyway, five like a coin.
Yeah.
And they give you your toilet paper and there's no running water and you use a bucket full of water and there's no toilet cover seats. So it's just the seat. So you don't really sit on the seat. And then you take the water and you dump it in and it flushes the toilet. And the one, like I said, was in like a sex shop. So they're standing there. She has the corn on the stick and she's eating it and there's dildos and like sex.
That's crazy.
Oh gosh. Like, my only thought was, can you imagine bringing your kid in here? But it just shows like the difference of like how different cultures are.
Oh
And
yeah, definitely.
yeah, so that was fun
Yeah.
for sure. That was,
Yeah, definitely.
but it was nice to like not be in the United States and like kind of realize like this is what it's like other places that are third world countries. I mean,
Right.
obviously, or a lesser level of how things are than the
Right.
United States. So it
Yeah.
was definitely interesting. And
Yeah,
like I said, every bathroom you had to pay for.
that
So,
is crazy.
yeah, no,
Wow. Yeah, well, and everybody was really friendly in
mhm,
Cancun. Like, and most people, would just speak English, and that was really nice. Like, actually, and I did try, to speak a little bit of Spanish, but I mean, we're very limited. But
mhm.
everybody was really, really nice and just, yeah, like that was super nice because that's one of the hard things about traveling outside the United States.
Yeah,
Like, I am really nervous because I don't speak a lot of, like, I think I took a French class in high school, but I haven't, like, used it.
yeah,
So, like, that's one thing because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want anybody to think, oh, she's just a stupid American, coming and being dumb or, whatever. And so like I do try, like we both of us did try to speak a little bit when we could.
yeah.
So,
We definitely had that experience too. Well, okay, so in the more touristy areas, like when we went to museums and stuff, there was a lot more English. The people running um like the counters
the
and stuff,
shop.
they spoke more English. Um, but it helped that our friend, he knows he's Mexican, so he knows a ton of Spanish, and his uncle was with us. So a lot of the time, and he helped translate a lot. So that helped.
Mhm.
Because my husband, even though his family is from Mexico, he knows very limited. Like he knows stuff that he heard when he was a kid, but since like once he hit teenage years, he didn't speak it at all because he moved up to Washington and there was like hardly anybody when he moved up here. He was like, I was the only Mexican. He, like they put him in remedial classes because they thought he couldn't speak English, even though he could. Um,
Wow.
so um so it was interesting because, we tried as best as we could and and I will say that all the places that we were trying to speak with people, they were really understanding and knowing that like okay, they don't really know English or Spanish very well. So they
Right.
kind of worked with you. But we did like get duped at one of the stands that we got food from because they make these like peanut cakes. They're like pancakes with like fresh peanuts and
Mhm.
they're really good, but the lady, she didn't give us our change back. She didn't
Oh,
say
dang
how
it.
much it was, and we didn't have the exact change. And that's the thing is they know the tourists carry bigger bills. And
Right.
so now when we go to Mexico some other time, if we go, we know we have to have lower bills because it's like carrying $100 bill.
Right.
If you walk into a store with $100 bill, they're like, like I don't, some places don't have change for that. So it's kind of the same thing. But
Hmm.
yeah, so
Hmm.
she didn't want to give us our change, and we were trying to get out we were near one of the cathedrals and we were trying to get out of that part of the city and get back to the hotel because I think we had dinner and stuff. We needed to do dinner and we were going to the luchador thing, so we had to get back.
Hmm.
So it was like, okay, well, I guess we just lost, you know. Uh, She just made her day. She made her, and it's like, you know what? It's like
It is what it is.
it is.
Yeah.
They were good. They were good.
Yeah.
Really dry. So I wished I had had like a piece of fruit with it or something, but they were really good. All the food that we had was really good. All the street food. I wish we had more time to eat. Like that was the only thing that we had just enough excursions planned that like making sure we ate enough meals
Hmm.
was not like that part. And it takes forever. I don't know how it was in Cancun, but it took forever to get places because of the traffic. That is another big difference is the road traffic was like way different. People drive. We were so glad to be back in the United States part of it because we rented a car and our friend drove around. And of course, he's not lived in Mexico, but he did really well. Yeah, we didn't get a flat tire, and they told us that that was very common.
Oh, wow.
Flat tires, because just people drive so crazy, and the cops are like, whatever. Like we seen people cut off cops, and the cops just like didn't do anything.
Huh. That's crazy.
So,
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of driving, and when we did, we were shuttled to places, which was really nice because I was a little nervous about like renting a car and like all of that stuff. Like that's in a foreign country, it's a little like if we were gonna stay for longer, maybe I would attempt it,
mhm.
but for like 5 or 6 days, I didn't think it was worth it.
Well, and probably where you guys were, like because we were in Mexico City and we did some
Right.
outside, though when we did the outside stuff, we did shuttle.
Did
Like
you?
when we went to the pyramids, we shuttled out. We had a shuttle, and that was a long shuttle. Whew, that took forever to get back, and
Yeah.
because of the traffic.
Mm.
But it's well worth it, and it was so
Oh,
much
yeah, I
fun.
bet.
I'm glad we did it.
That's
But okay,
awesome.
so what do you do ahead to prepare for your scrapping experience later? Because I know
So, were you gonna say something? Sorry.
I was, but I wasn't. I didn't have it
Okay.
all in my head. You can keep going.
I feel like the before what is a little bit harder, like depending on what it is that you're doing.
Hmm.
Like, because I think about with your and my trip to Port Angeles and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Like, I think beforehand I had bought like a traveler's notebook and like a cover, and like I totally knew what I was gonna do.
yeah.
And I might have even brought it with me. I don't remember if I did. And then, and I think when I got back from that trip, I decided like the photos and stuff, and like
Mhm.
during the trip, I think on our Cancun trip, like when we were at night or if we were, just not really doing anything, I would kind of look through the photos from the day and stuff and just kind of
Yeah,
favorite the ones that I really liked. And I think if you do that during like the whole vacation, it kind of makes it easier when you come back.
yeah,
Because then you're like you can just print everything off or send it out to be printed or whatever.
yeah. I think the times that I've thought more ahead before our trip made it easier for after the trip. Because then I was a lot more organized. I kind of had a better plan of how I was gonna do things.
Right.
Um, I know with traveling, because being in the military and traveling, that always made it interesting. Like I was less organized because there was a lot of other things I was thinking about. But as far as like knowing knowing like, oh, I want to scrap this or not. But then again, I had more time like in the hotels and stuff where like on both of these trips, we weren't there very long. Like even Mexico City, we were only there for a few days. So like when we got back to the hotel, it was like we just needed to like do nothing.
Hmm.
So, and we had a big hot tub in Mexico City. So it's like after walking, 10,000 or 12,000 steps for the day, which is a lot for me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Actually, I think the one day we did almost 20,000 steps.
Whoa.
It's like I was so, like we just got in that tub and we just sat in there for like an hour. There was a Walmart right next to our hotel, so we went and we got Epsom salt for the for
Oh,
the big
yeah.
jacuzzi like jet tub. Oh, and that was so nice. I don't know
That's
if I have any
awesome.
good pictures of us in, no, probably not. I don't have any pictures that I can scrap. Well, okay, I can scrap. I can't share any of those pictures. There may be
Yeah.
a few of those like hidden in the vault, of photos. Um, but anyway, so yeah, like when we went to Port Angeles, like I definitely prepared a lot ahead of time. Like
Hmm.
I bought, album and I like we thought about what we wanted to do knowing that we were gonna take pictures and stuff. And I think that
Right.
is helpful. The only thing
Hmm.
is like that's not when you're with a lot of people, it's kind of not as easy to do that. Like even on this trip, I did think ahead about like what kind of stuff did I want to take use for nice pictures, what kind of like everyday photos did I want to do throughout. And so that kind of helped me like be like, okay, I know I can use this and this. Like where in Mexico, I just carried my camera with me the whole time, and that
Hmm.
probably wasn't as helpful because like my photos are everywhere. I mean, they're two different places, but like there's a lot more involved. Like I couldn't just sit on my phone and edit photos
Right.
the end of the night, which, like I said, we did so much in so little time that we didn't have a chance. I didn't have a chance to like really look through everything until I got back. And then I'm looking back at everything going, oh my gosh, I had so many photos from that weekend because we did so much. Like we jam-packed as much as we could in that trip because we knew we weren't going to be there very long. I'm trying to think, we were only there for like 3 or 4 days too. Like it was
Yeah.
a very short trip because we were there for a vacation, but it wasn't quite a vacation because our friend had to go there for immigration
Right.
stuff. So we wanted to support him. And so we're like, well, let's make it a couples trip. So, and it like I think depending on how many people you're traveling with, that also, like, if it's with your kids, you're thinking more about your kids sometimes than like what kind of photos you want to take. Or like this trip to Idaho, I knew we were going to be on the lake doing a hot cocoa cruise, and I was like, oh, that's going to be perfect to do couples photos because we can stand
Yeah.
outside, and we did. And and then there was a couple of fun photos where the guys were trying to be like Jack and Kate at the end of the boat.
Hmm.
So I have some fun photos about like with that in it and stuff.
That's
But then
fun.
I also you know it's like depending on the trip, I think for me
Right.
depends on how I plan ahead
Hmm.
and how much of the planning ahead happens as opposed to like, oh, this organically is happening, so let me get some photos of this and then dealing with it after,
Right.
right? And I think some of that is like a person, like depending what kind of person you are. Like I don't
Hmm.
feel like I need to micromanage. Like I hate doing that when I'm on vacation because I want to like enjoy and have fun.
Enjoy. Yeah. Well, and especially if you're with like friends and stuff and it's like a couples trip, you kind of just want to enjoy the moment.
Hmm.
And well, and I think even when you're on trips with your family, you just want to be able to enjoy the moments. Like you don't always want to be behind the camera, like I
Yeah,
totally
well,
get
you don't
that.
want your family and your friends to be like, "Oh, she's always she's always behind the camera." At least
Mhm.
that's in the back of my head when I'm like, is my family thinking I'm always behind the camera and I'm not
I'm
participating?
not enjoying, yeah.
You know, sometimes that's like as a scrapbooker, I feel like that's how we participate sometimes is through that camera lens. But that's not, having taken more of a break of scrapbooking, I realize that's not necessarily the same thing.
Right.
So it's interesting how I see it a little bit different now, you
Hmm.
know. Um, because like with the Mexico City, I knew I wanted to try to scrap some of that, but that wasn't my intention of thinking about scrapbooking any of the photos while I was like maybe while I was like, oh, this will be a cool photo, like I'm thinking
Right.
photography wise, but not
Yeah.
necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna make a page with this.
That's kind of funny. Yeah, I guess that is kind of interesting. Like, well, and I was just thinking about I think it was 2023 that Ashley and I took our kids, so Rachel and then Ashley's five kids, and her and we went up to Yellowstone, which is only like a two and a
Remember
half
that
hour
you
drive.
guys did like a short trip.
Yeah, we did like a short, I think it was just over the weekend, and like we spent I think one whole day in the park and then half a day the next day, and then I think we came home. But and that was like the perfect trip. Like the
Mhm.
perfect, it wasn't too long that like we were all
Yeah.
just like going crazy.
Yes, being
But
stuck in small spaces with
oh,
all.
right, exactly. Exactly. Because, like, the little place, we got like two little, I don't even think you could call it a cabin, but it was like two different cabins that were like right next to each other. Like, they were connected. We couldn't like actually go through the
Hmm.
space. But so we had the older kids in the other room, and then we had the twins with me and Ashley. Um, and I think we only spent like one night there, but that trip was like a really good experience because both Ashley and we were both taking photos, and I wasn't the only one that was orchestrating the photos.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was the first time, like, I mean, my ex would take photos, but like on family trips, I just remember always being the one behind the photo. And
Yeah,
and
my
so
ex
it
is like
it
that.
is,
Where like
yeah.
this trip, Jason was like picking up the camera. He's taking photos. Actually, like even he's went on a couple of business trips and he'll send me like a whole bunch of photos
Oh,
that
that's so
because he's
cool.
the one taking the photos. So it's quite interesting because he's not scrapbooky minded at all. Like that stuff doesn't. But in those moments, he does think about that stuff. And where my ex would take photos of like, because he really liked like the you don't know you're being photoed
Candid.
photos,
Yeah.
like those candid type photos.
Yeah.
And he would do that where he'd get like the kids doing whatever, which I mean, I do a mix of that, but I do like
Yeah.
some kind of like nice photos.
Right. Yeah.
And that takes in being intentional. And like my ex he could not that were like this trip, it was like, okay, guys, I want to get this kind of photo. And so we had, some photos where we all were looking and then photos where, we're all doing different stuff. I think when you
Yeah.
get a mix of that, so and
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
you said, like when your partner is like kind of helpful in that, so you don't feel like everything's on you to get the photos.
Hmm. Yeah. Even though I'm the one that's doing all of the memory keeping, like it is kind of nice to like share that
Hmm.
and to see it from her point of view too, because
Yeah.
she sees different things than I see. And like different moments and things that she picks out, like that's really fun. That she is excited and she'll send me things like just daily life things if I'm not at home and she catches a cute photo of the kids, like she'll send it to me just randomly. And that's like so fun because that's from her point of view. And that's
Yeah.
exciting to me.
No, and that's really cool because then you can scrapbook. It's not just
Me.
completely you on the page. It's
Right.
it's a shared experience because you're sharing, you know, you're interpreting what her experience too. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of cameras do you use when you're on vacation?
So mainly I just take my phone. It's just so much easier. Because my camera, like my big professional camera is huge. Like
Yeah.
it's like in a
Yeah,
huge
you have a
thing.
nice one.
Yeah, so it's like if I want to bring that one to like vacations and stuff, I probably should get like a smaller, I don't know, way to bring it with me just so that I just have the basics with me because I have a lot of like lenses and just a lot of extra things that you don't really always need when you're going on vacation.
Yeah. What
So
kind
I just stick with my phone, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, and cameras take such nice photos now. And
They
like,
do.
I know when I was on the cruise this weekend, there was some eagles flying around, and I knew
Oh,
I have a nice camera. I just got a
yeah.
mirrorless camera this past year, but I only have one lens, and it's not a long lens. So,
Um,
I mean, I got the middle one because knowing that like, okay, this will at least do sort of what I want, but now I want a long lens and now I want like a macro lens because I think that'll be better for like some of the photography. Like even just the other day I was taking photos of sequins and I'm like, man, if I could just get it just a little bit closer without
right.
getting in there and getting all my shadows in there, you know.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's for
It's another topic.
another day and another, like that's a saving up thing.
Oh yeah.
Because the lenses are just as much as the body is. But yeah, so I
Right.
have a Sony one, but when I was taking pictures of the eagles, I knew I wasn't gonna get good shots with that
Mm.
camera. It would just be like a little speck because they're so high. So I took my
Um,
phone, and even then, like I probably could have blown it up more, but then it's pixelated, so
right.
I was like, but the camera did, like, I used that majority of the time. And then I
Mhm.
took my nice camera, like, when we went on the cruise, basically. So that, like, and in Mexico, I took my nice camera, but I only had the Sony. So I was just using that. And that one I have a long lens. So that was really nice because when we were on the hot air balloon, I was able to, like, really zoom in and get some really cool shots. So, if I had thought about it, I could have brought that camera, but I didn't want to bring two cameras with me to
Yeah,
Idaho.
that's a lot of
Like that's
work.
kind of excessive. It's excessive to bring
Yeah.
two because
Yeah.
and then like God forbid I would like leave it somewhere
Oh yeah, that would
and
be
then I'd lose
awful.
both of my cameras and then I'd be like I mean, I love my mirrorless camera. I am like all for mirrorless cameras now.
Yeah.
Like so much better than than yeah. Than the Canon that I
The
have.
Canon.
And that one
Yeah.
takes pretty good like pictures if it's right. Like if conditions are right, I can get some
Mhm.
awesome photos. I've gotten some awesome photos with it. But just that Sony, like you almost don't need to know hardly anything. Or I feel like it. Maybe it's because I know stuff. But like
Yeah.
manual mode is so much easier with that. And anyway, I'm all
No,
geeking
that
out on
makes
cameras. So,
sense.
but what is your professional camera?
So mine is a Canon Mark II.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a hefty one.
it is.
That
It
one's
it's
probably
hefty.
more comparable to the Sony that I have.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and it's older too. Like I think they actually discontinued the make and model. Like I think they have a different name for it now or something. But I don't know if I'll ever upgrade. I really like my camera.
Why, like, I don't see the need to if it works for what you need.
Exactly, right?
I mean,
Like
maybe the only thing that you would want to do is like get a different lens or something.
different lenses. Yeah. Yeah. But which I do. I have I think three or four different lenses. So
Yeah.
I've got a big variety, which is good.
Yeah. Well, because you can never have too many lenses.
I know, right?
Okay, so when you I know you talked about the fact that when you're like resting for the day or you have some time, free time that you'll go through, how do you store your photos? Like, do you just store them on your phone and then when you get back, you put them in an album? How do you do that?
Yeah, so usually like this last trip, I'll just keep them on my phone. I was for a while kind of using Google Photos as a storage backup,
Hmm.
but you have to pay for a lot of extra storage now.
Yeah, you don't
And
get that much storage with Google.
yeah, you don't get that much storage. So I've just decided to I back them up on an external hard drive when I get home.
So yeah, I do something similar. I don't put my photos in Google at all because I don't know. I feel like that's just one other place that I'd have to look.
Right.
Um, so I don't have my iPhone cloud, my Apple cloud. It's awful. It's been full for a while.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I think I pay for extra too, by the way. Uh,
Oh, do you?
Yeah, but like everything goes in the cloud, so it's like all the photos, all the app stuff, all the files, and it's like
Mm,
to the my computers and stuff. So I think that's part of the problem. Um,
yeah.
so I just store everything on my, like I keep everything on the cards. I don't like to delete stuff off of the cards. That way, if I need to go back and get it off later, I can re-get it off. So I just get a new card. So each time I fill up a cart, like sometimes I'm mindful and like on a vacation, like when we went to Mexico, I think I got a brand new card.
Mm,
But so sometimes I'll just get a brand new card and go, okay, that's this, and then I can just add other stuff. And so I do that, and then sometimes I remember to put it on the external. Sometimes I don't. I just have it in a folder that's specialized. So I'm
yeah.
kind of low maintenance when it comes to that. Because honestly, until after I'm done like scrapping it, it's just better if it's in a folder and then I can just go, oh yeah, I want to scrap this. Especially since I scrap, I don't like do one project at a time. Like I'm not really what I need to do is what Sandy does. She has a really good system. She prints all her photos off and puts them in like an album for like the year and stuff. I don't know if she does this for vacations, but it would be smart. So she has her albums already, and then when she wants to scrap that photo, she just pulls it out, and then she already has a place for it, essentially. So like that's kind of smart. I wish
Yeah,
I
that
was
is
smarter
cool.
that way, but
I used to be really good at that.
I just I think I just don't like organizing. I really like it brings me no joy. So even though I know it would make my life easier, it's like that executive functioning of like ADHD, like just really, I'm
Right,
like, I will just leave it in a folder. I can go there, I can print it off. I know it'll be there, you know.
right. Yeah.
And then I print like, and sometimes I'll print multiple photos up. Like I've already printed off some of the photos from this weekend, just a few, and they're sitting on my desk, so they'll be there when I want to scrap those. And then when I need to print more, I can print more. So,
Fun.
right.
Yeah.
I do need to put. I will say, like my phone ones, a lot of times I just keep them there until I'm ready to scrap them. I've because I can edit them and keep them on. And I use the Color Story app. That's what I mainly use to
Mm.
edit my photos because you can do the levels and stuff like that, and then adjust other things and you can use filters too if you want. But most of the time, I just use the levels. So it's a
Yeah.
lot like Photoshop, but way
Yeah.
cheaper. Like
Oh,
way.
that's cool. Is it?
Yeah, I got rid of Adobe like a while ago because it's like 20 or $30 now a month.
It's $35
Is
a
it
month.
55? Oh,
Yeah. I pay I
God.
pay $35 a month for Photoshop. Well, I wonder if I think actually because I pay for all of it. So
Okay.
it's 35 if you pay for if you just get Photoshop, it might be 20.
Okay. It might still be like, I think it was like 22 the last time I
Was
seen.
it? Yeah.
I think that's about when because I was using it, but I was rarely using it. So it's like the only time it's nice is like, I don't know if I need to change like a file size, like sometimes, but like I can do that really easily on my Mac. Like, let me tell you, because I'm a secretary, right? So
Hmm.
I have to deal with documents and get so frustrated with Windows because they do not make it easy to like switch your file size or file
Hmm.
type. It is not easy. Even the PDF, it's like things get fucked up all the time. Like I had something, sorry for the swearing. I try not to do that because I know people probably don't appreciate it. Anyway, um, but like it frustrated me because we were trying to do an important like annual report and we needed it to
Hmm.
be in a PDF and I could not get it. It kept messing it up the way it was done. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just try and take it home. And I don't like to take that much
Right.
stuff and keep it on my computer because like it just kind of muddies the water and
Right.
stuff. So, but I'm like, let me just try. And wouldn't you know, I did it like that, super easy on my Mac. And I was like, and this is why Macs are better. So, if anybody is teetering on that line of whether they should get a Mac or a window-based computer, I say Mac. And let me tell you, my laptop, sometimes it still goes a little bit slow, but that sucker is over 10 years old now. It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's 10 full years now I've had it. And besides the fact that I did have to change out the battery, which was super cheap, it was like 30 bucks to change the
Yeah.
battery out. Like it still runs pretty good. Sometimes it's a little slow, but that's probably more a me problem of keeping
Right.
things open and having too many tabs open.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life. Okay, so when you get home, what is your process to prepare to scrap your photos?
So I will go through and edit them if I didn't edit all of them, and everything, and pick out my favorites. So first, I guess I like to pick out my favorites because I take a lot of photos, and
Hmm.
a lot of times I'll have like 10 photos of the same thing
Yeah,
because you need 10 photos of the same thing.
definitely.
So
No.
I've been trying to be really, really good about deleting,
Mhm.
9 of them and just picking one because
But it's so hard.
it is so hard. I used to just keep everything. I would never delete
Yeah,
even
you
like
were saying
blurry
that
photos and like bad photos. Like I would keep them all, but I've been really good the last year. Like I'll delete all of the bad photos, I'll
before.
delete the extras, and then I go through and pick out all my favorites and then print them.
Mhm.
And then I kind of just scrap them as like I want to.
Okay.
I don't like I don't scrapbook the whole vacation in one sitting, like I
Yeah.
just kind of when I feel like scrapping the vacation, I'll just pull them out and scrapbook.
Do you usually send out your photos to get printed?
So I
Like,
used to, yeah. So it would take like 2 to 3 weeks to like edit and then get them all printed and then everything.
yeah, my other
So
question was, how long does it take for you to start scrapping them? So that kind of, however long it takes for you to get the whole process done, right?
right, right.
So, and for me, it all depends like how long it's going to take because, like with my Mexico photos, um, I've barely scrapped any of them actually. Like I've only done two layouts or one. I might have only done one. I have other photos though that I just printed off the other day. I printed them off using the Epson app and on the computer, and I
Mhm.
didn't like how that one's turned out, and so I put them in just pages, and they turned out so much better. So apparently that's
Really?
what I need to do. when I want to print out multiple photos is just stick them on there and just adjust the size how I want the size because the
Mm,
color is a lot truer to what it looks like on the screen.
hmm. Interesting.
Like, go figure. And if I need to brighten it, like you can adjust the saturation a little bit in Pages and the brightness. So like if I needed to make it a little brighter or a little darker, depending on how I've edited it.
So are you talking about like Google Pages or
No, Pages on my Mac. So it's like Google Pages
oh.
or like Microsoft Word.
Oh, okay.
I know, go figure. I'm telling
Interesting.
like I've just been trying lots of different ways to print to see
Right.
what I think is gonna like for what works best. Sometimes if I'm just printing like one photo, I can do it from either just the desktop or do it from photos, depending where my photo is. I don't keep all my photos in photos.
Hmm.
I will say that. I usually just do folders for like the big trip, like for my vacation trips and stuff. I'll just label a folder like Mexico, like wedding, like I have some different photo folders, and then from there, because I'll put all my edited photos in there, or like when I dump it off from um my SD card, right?
Hmm.
I'll just put
Right.
it in there, and then from there, I'll put it on my phone, edit it, and then bring it back. It's a crazy
Mm.
process. It
Yeah,
It's so much easier to do it on my phone, editing
it
on
is.
because then
I agree.
I can just do it like in bed. I know I remember listening to Becky Higgins say like every night before I go to bed I do this. I don't want to do it every night before I go to bed. I'd rather just scroll, which is what tends to happen, and then I realize, oh, I've been scrolling for an hour and I should probably
Yeah.
um but anyway, but you can do that. Like or on like you said, like if you're on vacation and you have free time, you can just edit a little bit and honestly, a lot of my photos I don't super edit. I just do a little bit of lightning or whatever. Sometimes I just leave it if it doesn't look like
Right.
it needs to be edited. Um,
Yep.
and that's where if you have a really nice camera, I will say that's where if you know how to do the manual mode really well, that's a really helpful because like even with our trip, like I didn't have to do anything with some of the photos because looked they just look fine. I'm like,
That's
I don't
nice.
see the need to mess around with it. It
Right.
looks okay to me. No one else is gonna notice. I mean, other people,
Yeah.
I get some, and there's certain times where I do want to like mess around. Like when I'm doing product photos, I always edit those. But like sometimes like vacation, there's so many vacation stuff. If I have my setting, like I said, if the settings look right, I'm not gonna mess around with the photo. I just,
Hmm.
it's one less thing to like add onto my list. So it just makes it a little bit easier if I can streamline it that way. But yeah, I usually don't print all my photos off at once. I will pick like
Right.
some of my favorites or I'll say, "Oh, I want to scrap this" because I tend to scrap in the moment. So I'll go, oh, I want to scrap this, and I'll pick, 5 or 6 photos, and I'll print them all off.
Hmm.
Some of them sit on my desk, and I can scrap later. With the Mexico trip, I did print off quite a bit of photos because I'm doing an album for me and the other couple that we went with, our friends. And so, like, I did go through and pick a whole bunch of photos and then print them off. But I still haven't finished that either.
Well,
Still,
and that's I was gonna say, like, I think now that I have a printer and I actually just bought a bunch of different types of paper,
okay.
and like 4x6 and then like 8.5
Mhm.
by 11, like I bought a bunch of different kinds just to see what I liked.
Yeah.
But so now I'm kind of wondering maybe I'll do it more like you do it,
Mhm.
where I'll just print off what I want to use that day, or maybe I'll print off like 20 photos or
Yeah.
something like, and then just kind of take my time and just print as I go or something.
I've been trying to print off about once a week. So I'll just pick, a handful of photos that I want to do for the week.
Hmm.
Because then, having it at home, you can just go, oh, I do want to do this one and you can go back in and I try to pick more than one photo when I'm printing so I feel like I'm making it worth, you know,
Right.
not that it's really that big of a deal, but I do like having the 4x6s too to just print off. So I
Hmm.
have that too. And then I have the big 8.5 but let me tell you, I've been printing off a lot on 8.5 by 11 because I can do more. So a lot of it is just kind of here or there. Like I'm still doing our Port Angeles trip. That's probably gonna
Right.
take me forever.
Oh yeah, me
And
too.
honestly, like I'm okay with that. I'm not like in a rush. I will say
Mhm.
like because like the Mexico City one, I would like to get that finished because I
Mhm.
want to give the one album to our friends. And that one I'm not doing scrapping the same way. I'm doing it like kind of simply, like doing a few cards that are nice.
Oh.
That's I chose the Snap one, the 6x8 album. So I
Oh
thought that would
yeah.
be a nice album size for them to put on and stuff. And then I'll probably leave some spaces if they want to add some other photos that they want to add, but
Hmm.
and then
That's
some
cool.
spots so that they can do journaling or whatever. But I mean, I know a lot of people who don't scrap don't care about doing the journaling, but
Right.
and honestly, sometimes I forget to do journaling. Like
Hmm.
I'll do the layout and then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do journaling," and then I forget. So
Yeah.
I really need to get better about that.
Yes. Me too.
But honestly, like I think because I'm more photography geared, the
Mhm.
journaling is the least part of like as long as I have the moment on a page, then it's like
Right.
if I have the date on there and maybe something simple, then that's okay for me. I know
Yeah.
it's not for everybody, and that's the joy of scrapbooking and memory keeping is that like depending what you want to remember, like when I do December daily, I like to keep like a little journal. I didn't do it this year, so I'm gonna do it next year. I'll be a little bit more prepared because I just kind of jumped in going, you know what, I'm gonna do December daily, and
I'm gonna do
I'm
it.
gonna do it, and I'm gonna buy some new stuff, and I bought a whole bunch of new stuff, which was super fun, and I'm still working on. But it's like I used to like to keep a notebook, and even that would be nice, like on vacation to keep a little notebook and journal kind of like some of the stuff that you've done. And then you have a place to put like cards or whatever little paper items that you might want to add. I know
Yeah,
Jason's good about giving me that stuff so that like if I want to scrap it, he's
that's
like,
a good idea.
you
Yeah.
want to keep it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think, is there anything else you want to add to our conversation?
I don't think so.
I think I've added enough.
Yeah, I think we've talked about a lot of different things. So,
I think so. I want to end this with a tip. Share one tip that you have, Megan, for like scrappy vacationy tips. It could be broad.
well,
It could
I
be.
I think my one tip would be to like edit your photos as you go. Like if you do your photos on your phone and if you have like a downtime where you are just in the car and you're traveling to and from one place, like maybe bring up a few of the photos and just, spend 5, 10 minutes kind of editing them or, whatever, deleting the duplicate photos, all of that the things that are going to be like not as fun so that once you get home you could just print everything off or send it out to be printed and then start scrapbooking.
Mhm. So I think my tip would be think about your style of how you scrapbook, how you like to do it, like, and use that as a starting off plan point so that you can just plan ahead of like not necessarily like a detailed plan, but going into it knowing, okay, this is how I scrap. So being a little bit more organized throughout the process so you're mindful. So just even that my having that mindfulness beforehand so that when you get home, you can do it the best way that is going to fit for your needs and stuff. So keeping in mind like your style and how you already are, like your personality, that's going to
Mhm.
be helpful when you come to the table to scrap, because
Right.
you'll be, oh, I already have an idea of how I want to do this. It's like just even think, just that mindfulness, I think helps you prepare and be better prepared so that you can get stuff done. Because if you are someone who wants to be really organized, if you kind of come into it not thinking about it, then you have a lot of organizing to do after, as
Right.
opposed to, you know, thinking a little bit ahead of time and going, okay, I'm going to plan, have these contingency plans. I'm going to plan for how I am.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and then it's not so overwhelming
yeah,
either, because I think that's my issue with vacation scrapbooking is it's such a big project
yeah,
over just a few days, and it's just overwhelming the amount of photos I take. I have to edit them, like all of these things. And so, yeah, you're right. If you just kind of plan ahead how you're going to do it, so whether you edit on your vacation or, whatever, like if that's what you want to do, like that's a really good idea. It's not as overwhelming.
yeah. Yeah, well, and I remember Victoria talking about like one of the times they went to Disney and how many photos she had. And I remember her talking about how overwhelmed she was. And I'm
Mhm.
sure she had a plan too. And that's the other thing is like also being realistic and maybe even mindful about because that mindfulness can carry through like how many photos am I really taking? How many do I think I really want to remember?
Right.
And kind of like being okay with maybe taking some less photos. I think me taking that break has helped me realize like I don't probably need to take as many photos as I was. And like now that I'm scrapping again, I am taking way more photos like for certain things. And
Hmm.
I'm like I'm realizing I need to be mindful of like the kinds of photos I want to take. So, and I think that's just where like with vacation is like do I need 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 photos of my kids playing on the beach? Do I? No,
Yeah.
probably not.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe we can, it's like, maybe I do. Maybe that's what I want. Maybe I want to remember the beach and all that kind of stuff. And so, but maybe I don't need a photo of every single time we eat dinner because we don't care about that. But maybe that's our thing. So just being, I think considering yourself in that project is, I think, going to be is just the best way because you're
Right.
honoring yourself, you're honoring how your style is, and it's gonna be threaded through, and it'll be anyway. So I'm gonna finish that up because I'm just saying
Yeah.
the same thing all over again, which is what I do, but I'm gonna self-edit myself. I give a little pat on the shoulder because I I did it myself and my husband didn't have to tell me anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Maggie, we are done with episode 7.
Yes.
Um, is there anything that we need to add before we close out?
I don't think so. Just come visit our shop
Yep.
and our Facebook group because we have
Yeah,
both
yeah.
open now.
Yes.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts about the episodes. And if
hmm
you have any topics that you want us to talk about, let us know. Because, I mean, I bet we could probably come up with millions of
Oh,
topics,
yeah.
but we
For-
want you guys to enjoy the podcast as well. So we'd love to talk about what you want to hear about.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm gonna add in here that on the 14th, we have our grand opening of March because it's March 1st already. Spring is coming. It feels like spring. It's gonna be 61 today.
I know,
Here in
crazy.
Washington. And sunny. That's like a plus. Um, so the 14th, we're doing having our grand opening. We're gonna have a hop on YouTube and Instagram. So be sure that if you want to join that you're in our group. I have it listed, and I think I have it a couple places, so just make sure that you're putting it in the list so I can add you. So,
Yeah.
because we're gonna do some giveaways. I was thinking doing one, but I think I might do two, one for Instagram and one for YouTube. So I was gonna do give away the March mini kit and sequins. So, so,
Yeah.
so yeah. So we have that going on. And then in April, at the end of April, is when I plan to launch our mixed media kits. So
Woohoo.
for that, right?
We're
Um,
super
so
excited.
if there's anything that you guys want to see in the kits, mixed media wise, make sure you add that below too, because I want to make sure that I'm adding stuff that people want to use if you're afraid, if it's something that you're like hesitant to buy on its set
Yeah.
on its own because you're not sure if you're gonna like it. So I'll be asking a ton of those questions as we get closer so that we can kind of pinpoint and really make the kits usable for everyone. So,
Right.
I mean, obviously, not every month is going to be, you know, what everybody wants, but I think we can really tailor it. It's going to be fun.
We can. Yeah, we're
Anyway,
excited. It'll
I
be
am
good.
excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a wrap for this week.
Yay.
Have a great scrappy week, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
I think I fell asleep with my pen in my pocket. I was
That's
feeling
funny.
it like, what's that? Oh, it's my cool pen that I got. See, look it. Look how cute it is.
Oh, that is cool. I like that.
And I got a purple one too, like a wine color.
Ooh, pretty.
I know, right? I love
Yeah.
pretty things, so pens included.
Oh, yeah. I think so I've probably got about 15 minutes and then so set a 15-minute timer and then we can just wrap it up
Okay,
after that.
sounds good. Okay, awesome. Okay, where were we before we start?
We were talking about our cameras, what cameras we had and we use on vacation. So I think we finished that question.
Yeah, and you were talking about how you store your photos. I didn't.
Oh, yes. You didn't. Yes, you're right.
Okay. Um, okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's loud. I should have turned that down. Our old brains need those timers. Everybody's gonna be like, that's so loud. But yeah, so